Hello and welcome to CineTracer 2 version 0.6.0. In this video, we're going to create a slightly more complicated lighting visualization. Call this project 3, and we're going to go into our second white cyc here. So here we are in the two-wall white cyc. I'm going to hit E to go to editor mode, and I'm going to spawn a couple lights. We're going to spawn a spotlight, another spotlight, and another spotlight. Actually, you can put softboxes in these, but we'll call them spotlights for now. If we wanted to move this light to the grid, we could move it up like this, switch it to underhung, and we could eventually get it up there, or we could go a little bit faster holding left click on the yellow sphere, and we can just drag it up and point it at the truss, and it will do its best to snap up here. We'll leave this one there, left click to deselect. If we want to move multiple lights, we can select multiple, left click like this, and then point them at the truss, and it'll do its best to put both of the lights on the truss here. This will be especially helpful if it's like circle truss or like these kind of like bigger truss structures. We're going to be able to move them afterwards like this, but what we're going to find is that we have a limited pan and pan range. So I'm actually going to bring these back down to the floor here, and as I drag them up here again, what I can do is, while still holding down, is I can scroll, and this is going to spin their default orientation facing us, facing outwards. There's are going to be backlights. So I'll let these go, and then I'm going to deselect, left click, and bring this one here. And in this case, I am going to also left click and then scroll like this. So now it's facing outwards. This is going to give me a better range of pan for when I want to animate these. And I'm going to reset. So this one ended up in a slightly funny position. I'm going to put it right there. So it's hard to light without anyone in the scene, so let's add an actor. And I'm just going to add a couple 3D objects so that we can just sense like any sort of depth. It's sort of tough on a white cyc to see what's going on, pretty much by design. So going to place this couch here, which has no textures on it. That's going to be coming in the next update. Is being able to add textures to things, and another couch here. So to turn these lights on, so to speak, we're going to left click and we're going to choose a Fresnel, and I'm going to tilt them down here and be able to zoom this light a little bit, which helps me kind of focus it. Let's focus it like right on her like this. And for now, I'll just kind of bring the brightness down a little bit. These lights are identical, so we can multi-select, give them both Fresnels, tilt them both down. And so this is showing multi-select and multi-parameter editing, which is new for CineTracer. Zoom them in, flood them out like this. This is kind of fine. So to have a little bit more fun with the lighting here, we're going to go to our environment. And before we do haze, we're going to do the space lights. And it is possible to turn their saturation up and start using them out of the gate for a little bit of ambient light. The space lights in the scene are not supposed to reflect what you would be doing in real life. They're just supposed to reflect ambient light from the scene at all. So like kind of any sort of like house lights that would be on. They're just a little bit nicer looking. However, we're going to turn off their color and completely turn them off here so that we're only lit from the lights that we've added. We're then going to go to world settings and look at haze. We're going to turn it on, and we'll see that we've hazed the whole entire room, and the lights actually have their beams visualized. You can then change how much haze or how thick the haze is here using this slider, and we'll go for something like somewhere like around here. So we're going to go back to select mode here and create a bit of a scene with the lighting. Now, you do not need to add a camera to this. You can keep working without a camera. However, you will never have screenshots for your shot list. So I prefer to have a camera. However, you do not need one for this to work. Let's go here, and we're going to spawn a new camera in. I'm just going to frame up some random wide shot. We're going to pilot, and just because I like it, we're going to go anamorphic here. And things are a little bright. I'm going to zoom in a tiny bit, something like this, sort of kind of a tall shot. And things are quite bright right now, and we can start to control that. We're going to leave this as it is. I will take a screenshot for now, but we're going to keep changing the scene. So we can leave this open. This will not update as on a live update, but just kind of to see what we're working towards. So let's go ahead and take our key light. It's a little bright. We're going to start with it off, actually, like that. We'll then take these two backlights, and I'm going to look at their brightness a little bit here. The fact that they're glowing and this gizmo glowing is actually adding blue light to the scene. It's a UE5 thing. See if there's a way to kind of come up with a different way of having that not happen. But for now, it's not infecting it too much. But we can kind of pick our light level here. And very importantly, if we look at zoom now, because we have our haze, you can actually see the beam of light in a lot more clear way. So I'm going to leave it pretty zoomed in like this. And we can continue to just pick like, what is our first position going to be here? And I'm going to have them started facing down like this. Something like that. And so again, we don't need the camera for this. We can hit save, and this has been saved here in shot 1. It's just that the view isn't in sync, which is kind of, I don't know, kind of confusing looking to me. So I'm going to go in this camera here, and this is kind of a cool dark scene. We can hit tab to hide it if we want to, the UI, hit enter, and now we've taken a screenshot. Hit tab to go back, hit this back button, and now that screenshot's here, right? So this is our first shot of scene 0. Let's add another shot here and figure out what we want our next position to be. I'm going to grab these 2 lights, and I'm going to crank their saturation all the way up, and I'm going to tilt them into the scene like this. We then can kind of individually tune them if we want to. I don't really have a design in mind here. I just try to make something that's like kind of fun. And I don't really want them to be red. I'm going to make them kind of orange, which is like towards like 30, something like that. So we have our orange backlights, and they've tilted up. So again, if we save, we're saving shot 1 or shot 2 now in this case, but we have no screenshot for it. However, this will still work. We can click shot 1. We'll see that we're tilting down. It's back to white. Click shot 2. And it's going to animate those properties. They're going to tilt up, and it's going to turn orange. I personally like having some camera work with it, so I'm going to hit enter, and we've saved a screenshot with this new lighting setup. So we can hit tab to hide the camera, and now if I use J, I can actually watch through the camera the animation happening. So these are the 2 lighting cues that we've set up so far. I'm going to go back, and let's make another one. So again, we basically duplicated what's already here. We just don't have a screenshot for it. And let's come up with something else. Let's go ahead and turn our key light on in this case. And I'm going to give it saturation. And I don't know what colors we're going for here. We're going to go magenta on this. And then I'm going to go for these lights. And I'm going to change them towards cyan. So magenta over cyan. We have the light beams going, and we could play with their flood. I'm going to keep them like really beamed in, like 15. So the beams are like really there. And I don't know what's this going to look like. We'll find out through camera, and we'll go into the camera. It's a little bright. So who is a little bit bright? I mean, there's a lot of lights bang at the white floor. So we could animate the camera iris. I think that's like not what I would do personally. I'm going to bring this really down, and green/blue. Green really is a kind of a bright color, so I'm going to kind of dim these down a little bit so we're not blowing out like so much. And select the camera, pilot it, and it's slightly better. I mean, it's a white floor. It's a brighty. What are we going to do? I'm going to take this screenshot to associate it, and we'll see now that we can transition back to our kind of like orange backlight look, and then to our white one here. Now we can skip all the way up to this one if we want to. These are not playing in order like a timeline is. It's more like these are their positions, and you can go to each one. So here's another cue, and let's just do something like real different on this last one. I'm going to have him tilt down completely, zoom all the way out so they hit the cyc. And maybe that's enough. And although not realistic, we could animate this light's position. I think I'm going to just leave it where it is, like a little bit more realistic of for a moving light. And I suppose we can just like change its color to, how about white? How about this just goes white like that? And we'll bring it down just a bit like this. And let's see what that looks like through the camera. Sort of an odd scene, but we'll go with it. And just to animate the camera a little bit more, I'm going to zoom in and boom up here left click to focus, and I'm going to hit enter for our final camera and lighting shot here. Now, what I've just done is overwritten that other scene. I suppose that this is a good example of probably not what to do, this is what you don't want to do. I did not mean to do that. There is no way to undo that at the moment. However, we can just make a new shot and start working in this one instead. I'm going to just zoom back out here even wider, and I'll pull the camera back like this, and this will be our final shot here. Get a chance to come up with another lighting setup. It's getting dark in here. You could, although the names mean almost nothing in the current release, eventually you could hopefully use this list to help select the lights in the very dark scene. It's just for now the names don't really mean much, so we're just going to have to swing for it in the dark. And we'll put sat back in, and let's see. I'm going to go for like cyan key. And these are not really, this is not obviously designed for like anything good here. Let's see if can I hit the psych like this? Yeah, I kind of can. That's kind of interesting. We'll have these lights kind of spin into the center or something like that. So tilt them up, spin them in, spin them here. Sure. I guess I don't know what that's going to look like, but we'll find out soon. And then we could change its hue to like orange, something like that. Blue and orange, always a good combo. So it's a little dark. And again, this is not helping too much because of the names at the moment, but we can hit save. And even without a camera, this is completely fine. You could do this completely without a camera. You just won't have screenshots of it. But I'm transitioning between this and what will be our final look here. And just to make it feel more complete, let's go in. I'm going to change my mind about the framing on this. Not thinking so much about the transitions, just like, okay, what's like kind of a shot that would see all of this? I think this looks pretty cool. And going to hit enter, and that will be our final shot. So we'll go back to 1 here. Everything's moving back. We're going to go into orange. We'll go into this kind of random blue one, and then another orange and blue scene. So that's all through the editor. Hit save. Everything should be saved to the project now. We'll go inside here, and using J, we'll transition here. There's also different framing, and we zoomed in. We're going to go to that one. And as we go back forward through it, we'll see that the animation properties will actually show up here as they change. We just didn't change the camera in that case, but this one, we're zooming in. You can see that it's animating this as well. And then we're going to go into this look here, which is kind of cool. I kind of ended up liking how this whole thing overall looks. So that is an overview of how to create lighting cues and lighting visualizations in CineTracer 2. It is a big work in progress. There you may find certain interesting behaviors that you'll find in this, as in bugs, but the biggest limitation right now, as I said in the first tutorial, is that if you want to then add objects and keep this data, that doesn't go super well. We don't have access to, I haven't exposed out like all the position keyframes and whatnot. This really works best if you create a starting scene and you just animate some positions and the lighting parameters, and don't add any actors after. I know that's kind of an inflexible workflow. However, that's just because this is a simplified shot list / like kind of timeline system. That is what's best for it at the moment. It is something I'm looking to design to make better, to be able to keep adding iterations on this. But to be honest, if you're going to build a scene in this and do these lighting cues, it'd probably be better just to delete these scenes, build it here, and then go animate that. That's what I've been finding. I'll be interested to see what people are able to create with it. Again, right now, only the camera properties and these 3 lights properties, these can be animated. If you change the colors on these or like any of these properties, they're not going to change from shot to shot. So that wraps it up for this video. And really interested to see what kind of lighting cues people can come up with, even with this like really basic early version of this system. I think that really fun things can still be visualized, and I hope that this is somewhat straightforward and simple compared to some of the alternative ways of visualizing lighting cues and transitions. And would love to see anything that you create. Please tag it at CineTracer on Instagram. Would love to see it and repost it. I'll see you on the next video.